Let's talk with Melanie O'Brien, President of the International Association of Genocide Scholars. Melanie, how do you assess Israel's response to the report, calling it biased analysis?
Absolutely predictable. It's the same response they give to any report from any organization or institution or group of experts that issues any legal analysis of applying the law to the facts on the ground of what's going on in Gaza, whether they're talking about war crimes, crimes against humanity, or genocide. So this response is exactly what we would have expected.
How much of this report hinges on intent, and how difficult is it to determine that? I mean, Israel will say that its intent is to fight a war of self-defense with Hamas and not against the Palestinian people. Is the Commission basically saying that they don't believe them when they say that?
Basically, yes. So in the genocidal intent that's required as part of what makes genocide such a unique crime, so this intent to destroy a group in whole or in part, is the hardest part to prove when we go into a court of law and we're talking about genocide. So this Commission of Inquiry, what they've done is they've specifically addressed that in their report, which is really important. And what they've done is they've said, look, there are some narratives where Israel says, oh, this is a war of self-defense, we're fighting Hamas, but they've actually looked at the entire period and they've looked at statements by leadership and the pattern of conduct, and they've said, look, that doesn't demonstrate this. So essentially what they're saying is the conduct doesn't meet what we would normally call self-defense, and it doesn't comply with the rules of international humanitarian law around self-defense. So it's not proportionate, it doesn't meet military necessity. And for example, they were particularly focused on the large number of civilians that are killed, significantly more than combatants, which to them drew the conclusion that this is not about self-defense, this is about destroying Palestine and the Palestinians within that territory.
And now that the Commission has made this determination, what happens within the UN then? Because this isn't currently an official UN position.
No, so that's important to recognise that this isn't the UN saying this. It's a commission of inquiry that was mandated to investigate human rights abuses in the occupied Palestinian territories by the Human Rights Council. But it is an officially independent mandated commission made up of legal experts who have lengthy histories of working in international law and understanding human rights abuses and international crimes. So it's a really significant report, particularly as it wholly focuses its whole 72 pages on assessing whether or not genocide is being committed. So it's not legally binding, but I think it's really important that it's being said by a UN, some kind of UN body, but also because it makes recommendations, not just on what Israel should do, which is obviously stop committing genocide, but also what other countries should do to ensure that they're not in some way involved or collaborating in some way with the genocide that's going on the ground. So it should make an impact, and certainly states at a minimum should be thinking about what are they doing in their engagement with Israel and how can they pull back and make sure they're not participating in this.
Yeah, and that's something we'll be watching closely, as I know you will as well. Thanks very much, Melanie, for that perspective. Melanie O'Brien, President of the International Association of Genocide Scholars.